All right, this is Grayson with Garvin's. We're at 2761 West Florida. We have cleared a blockage that was at 26 feet. Previously, another plumbing company has been at this residence for a similar scenario roughly 6 months back in December. So currently we're pushed out to the tap about 73 feet. We have stopped running water, and I believe it has drained down. We are in clay tile pipe. There is a decent bit of cracking with decent to large / heavy amount of roots that are intruding. Some of them are intruding from the cracks themselves. The offsets aren't really that bad or concerning for the most part, but the main section that is an issue is as it is transitioning from cast iron going out. So you'll see roots left over. We I've only cleaned it with 3-inch blades. Didn't want to risk putting 4-inch blades down and making a problem worse. Also, I don't think that I would have succeeded in getting 4-inch blades down this toilet sweep, or rather the sand tee at the bottom of the flange. It needs to be redone. The flange is tilted. This right here at 66 feet is an offset along the bottom / right. It's not terribly detrimental, but it is going to impede flow slightly. That one right there isn't really worth noting. Now, this is a larger one, but this is right after a bend. So there's from 65 to 73 feet. The line is not quite straight up and down, but it is flying in that last little bit. So any roots that do grow in here are going to be very difficult to remove just because of how the physics of the cable works. So as we come back up into the horizontal, see a little bit of roots there. Don't see a crack there. There's might be one hub back, but there is a crack on one of these that looked decently bad. Maybe it's that one to the left. Yeah, so you can see that chunk of pipe there is slightly cracked. Got a little bit of roots, not really too big of a deal. A little bit of buildup there. So this one is, we have our hub, which you can see the slight offset on the bottom, and that is obviously impeding waste, but only a little bit. But right after that, that line that's lit up with a little bit of roots growing in it, that is a crack that is going around almost 360. And the root intrusions are going to cause some further issues eventually. So some of the areas have a little bit more roots left over than others, but we did get a decent bit out. Not quite as many as I saw in the photos from 6 months ago, but so this section right here, it's an outbound offset, so that's what that drop is, which is mostly okay, but it's got a decent bit of roots growing in from the top. It almost looks like it's pushing that pipe down. Roots that grow in and hang down from the top, while they don't impede flow that much, are very difficult to remove, especially whenever we can't put 4-inch blades down. So this line will need to be replaced at some point, and with cleanouts installed. I believe that's another crack to the right there going up. Sometimes it is difficult to differentiate cracks with roots. Little hairline roots will sometimes, stragglers will stay on the pipe and make it look like a crack. But there is mostly minor cracking. This is the bad crack, I believe. Here, yeah, 40, 45. So you can see it starts off to the right, then goes full circle, and then extends a little bit further. And once again, with root intrusions. So we're going to locate after our video. Not sure how deep in the ground it is. There is a crawl space in this home, But so I would imagine it's mostly shallow until that last 8 feet or so whenever it's screaming down. So once again, this crack is a little more prominent, a little bit more roots growing through it, almost like an offset in the crack itself, as opposed to the hub. So those roots are somewhat holding that together. Not really too bad there. That's an okay amount of roots that are left over. It's on the side of the pipe, offsets on the side of the pipe, pretty much not impeding flow. That situation doesn't really bother me. This hub looks good aside from the crack to the left that's going around the top. So my recommendation would be a full replacement all the way through the crawl space up to the toilet. Redo the toilet flange, the sweep, replace the cast iron section. It's a very small cast iron section. Here once again we are coming through. That's a hub, that's normal, and then we see the crack. It's going all the way around, has a root growing through it. So pretty much the same thing in most cases. We've gotten quite a lot of roots removed. And whenever you see cracks that are in the hub, which is to say the male-female section where the pipes are joined, those are generally not that big of a deal when they don't have roots growing through them. So in this crack, even though it is a 360 crack, it looks like it might have some very small roots growing through it. But that, if that's all we were seeing, my recommendation would be just to occasionally clean this line. So now this section here is our problem area. This is where our blockage was. This is where we transitioned from cast iron. So I believe we're expanding from 3-inch to 4-inch, and they just have it shoved into the 4-inch pipe as opposed to transitioning properly. So this is where the maximum amount of root growth is. I didn't want to risk running it multiple times and pulling a chunk of the pipe up. To me, it looks like the pipe wall to the left there is being lifted by that bunch of roots. So won't be able to warranty this line, but it does have at least a pathway for waste to travel. Don't know how long that will last. I was hoping that we'd be able to get more out of there, but this is a combination of, we've got a crack in the hub with an offset with the roots growing up out of it. And this is also the second time in a year that it's been cleaned. So cast iron for the most part looks okay. Looks pretty decent for the age, honestly. Not a whole lot of scale buildup. But the fact that it's from only 12 feet all the way to 17 feet, they only left 5 feet of cast iron, so a little ridiculous. And then once we get to the PVC, it's mostly okay. I just think that they might have used a lot of couplings. We've got a seam there and there, but that's not a fitting. We don't have anything tying in or anything, so a little strange. And then I believe this is just a lot of glue or primer, so I don't think there's anything of note there. And we're going to be coming up our toilet here in just a second. As you can see, we are just, that might even be backwards. It's hard to tell. Looks like a backwards santee. So this is the part that you can see those scrape marks. So this is me trying to get blades down. So as of right now, the line is as clean as it's going to get. This is our flange situation. So all that needs to be redone. But we're going to do our locate. It's been Grayson with Garvin's. Thank you.